And of course, the trip wouldn't be complete without playing volleyball. Their bunch had their fill of matches and made beach volleyball extra fun. They drew lots on who gets to fight who, and the losing team will have a 30-minute swim across to the nearby island and back. As soon as Shoyo heard the penalty for losing, his heart began beating faster as he glanced nervously at the open ocean. He almost had a heart attack when Tanaka screamed his name, calling him to join soon, and Hinata stiffened. Guess what? Hinata can't swim. Fortunately, Hinata was on the winning team. It was a huge relief on his part not to receive penalty, but his teammates didn't let on and insisted on getting in with everyone. Enoshita-san, where are you going? I'm going to get something to eat with Shoyo, Enoshita muttered, making his way towards Narita, who was setting up the fruits, and motioned Shoyo to follow. Every match is a serious match to you, ain't it, Shoyo? Hisashi said as he noticed them approaching while he tried helping Narita cut fruits, which he failed horribly. Aren't you gonna get in, Hinata? Looks like the others are having the time of their lives, ha ha ha. Hinata shook his head. It's too cold for me. He lied as he took a seat under a huge pink parasol. Oh, you just can't swim. Hinata tensed up and he opened his mouth to say something, but no words came out. That's none of your concern. What Enoshita said raised a few eyebrows. Even Shoyo was surprised. Anyway, did you guys want anything? Shoyo grabbed a handful of sand and let it slide off between his fingers before speaking. What do we have here? This one. Hinata said his thanks and returned to Bay with a watermelon slice. Learn how to mind your business, idiot. Hisashi earned a smack on his head, which accidentally made a third of the watermelon slide off his hands. This just earned him another smack. As long as you stay away from the deep end, you'll be fine, Shoyo. His sudden remark made Hinata flinch. Was it so obvious? I bet they haven't noticed. Hinata didn't look the least bit satisfied with his answer. Besides, you were the one who was the most excited about this trip. It'd be suspicious if you keep on refusing. They'll eventually catch on. Maybe I should stay in after all. Are you afraid of the water? No. But you can stay on the shallow part. That way you can still dip in water. You're so nice, senpai. I'll try that. Hinata glanced at a cliffside, which he guessed was about 30 feet high. Perfect for high diving, in which Asahi was about to jump off. Tanaka, Kageyama and Yamaguchi trailed behind. Meanwhile, Kei, who was thrashing about, was being pulled miraculously by Nishinoya despite the difference in their builds. Without even hearing, anyone could tell what Kei was grumbling about just by looking. When Kei noticed Shoyo staring, he fixed himself and pretended to go along with Nishinoya's plans, which only confused the libero. With his free hand, Kei placed a hand over his mouth and blew Shoyo a kiss which made his heart pound. Shoyo reciprocated his gesture by playfully catching an invisible kiss and placing it over his mouth. Kei wasn't expecting him to do so. With his guard down, Noya took the opportunity to push him off the cliff. On his way down, it filled the open space with a great yell. I didn't take off my glasses, you midget. And with that, a large splash went off. Kei's head surfaced a few seconds after. Ooh, I expect no less from Megane-kun. Haha, don't provoke him, Tsukishima-kun. Narita screamed from behind us, who was getting ready to get in. Yeah, this midget's gonna cut you in half, you oversized potato. Wahahahahaha. Kei swam ashore and Nishinoya jumped right after. Then the both of them immediately rushed back up to join the others. That looks dangerous. Oh, but they are. Ha ha ha. Shoyo didn't get Enoshita's little joke about his teammates but kept quiet about it. Enoshita-san, come play with us. Later then, Hinata-kun. Soon, the group became louder with Enoshita, Narita and Hisashi joining in. Kyoko was being pulled to the sea by Yachi, while the others never tire out of an overused cliff. After a few minutes, everybody seemed to be having fun except for Hinata, who remained seated on the sand. Hinata gathered up the courage to get in the water. He got closer, and when the wave crashed upon his bare feet, it sent shivers all over his body. He urged himself to get used to the cold and eventually sat down. He was a little happy for his achievement and swung his legs a little, making the sand and water slosh around. There were no other people on the island, so it brought peace over Hinata's heart. He was even more afraid of the thought that he would get washed up and end up on the deep end. Hinata-kun, do you wanna come up with me? Yachi's voice startled him. I was afraid of going there myself. Everyone was jumping off. I just wanna take photos. The view from up there is great. Hinata nervously looked around to see if there was anyone he could push the responsibility to, but there was none. Have you tried asking Kyoko-senpai? She told me she was gonna start preparing our dinner, but if I don't go now, it'll be dark soon.
Right.
Hinata was extremely hesitant, yet he didn't want Yachi to feel the same fear he was feeling, so he manned up and agreed anyway. When they got up top, the cold breeze brushed past his cheeks and the humidity made his skin feel sticky. Yachi invited him to take photos with, and he gladly did so. Yachi was right. It's amazing. Hinata sat on a boulder and admired the scenery. Everything looks so tiny from afar, and aside from the lone island a few distance from theirs, the sea glistened like pearls from the sun almost touching it. Hinata questioned himself as to why he hadn't gone up here earlier, but it wasn't long before a loud yelling dismissed those thoughts. No. Daichi ran past them in a flash while Princess carrying Sugawara. He stopped as soon as he reached the ledge and swung really hard, then threw Suga off the cliff. Words they'd never even heard before enveloped the whole beach, followed by a splash of water and laughter. Sugawara's head bobbed up from the water as he gasped for air. Daichi, you're sleeping outside with the bugs tonight. Suga shrieked, struggling to make his way out of the water. The captain bellowed as his lover made his way into Daichi's arms, who was already waiting below to meet him, water still dripping out of Suga's now messed up hair. Another splash of water was heard, followed by Tanaka howling in laughter while holding his sides. He had pushed Kageyama into the water, who was getting his goggles ready for the north time, and his instincts made him grab the nearest person, which happened to be Yamaguchi, who happened to drag Kazu in as well. As it so happens, Yamaguchi was grabbing onto Kazu's trunks, so when they fell, so did Kazu's shorts. Every single one of them cackled. Meanwhile, Yachi and Hatoka spared themselves from the terrors of Kazu, desperately covering his naked parts. The commotion rattled Hinata. Instead of laughing along, he backed away from the small crowd in horror someone might throw him in. He stood up only to bump into someone, and before he could react, strong arms wrapped around his waist. The person's icy breath made his body tremble. He was spot on. Wait, Tsukishima. Shoyo can't. The air rushed past him as he fell down. Down. Its pressure made it hard to speak, let alone breathe. He could feel his heart constricting. He felt like fainting, but the adrenaline kept him wide awake. The image of Tsukishima Kei's trademark smirk was the last thing imprinted on Hinata's head as he fell into the sea. Though in reality, it was wiped off as soon as Kei heard Enishita's cry. And before he knew it, he was enveloped by the waves. Time seemed to flow slower underwater. He didn't know if it was because of his motion or just because when you're on the verge of death, you lose your sense of time. He held onto his breath for as long as he could as the water stung from his eyes. His instincts kicked in and he flailed to reach the surface, but somehow, it only made him sink faster. With a gasp, salt water clawed its way into Hinata's lungs. His body, losing strength before he felt a splash above him, and a pair of arms gently pulled him by the chin, then by the waist, and swam to the surface. Fuck. I didn't know. Kei repeatedly smacks on his forehead, regretting the whole thing. Kei remained by his side while Shimizu tried slapping Shoyo awake. Hinata didn't seem to respond. When he leaned in and was about to give him mouth to mouth, Hinata started coughing up water. Salt water went through his nose, which stung. Everyone hurtled around with ample space for him to breathe. They all wore the same expression on their faces that clearly says, "Are you okay?" and wondered why he hadn't surfaced on time. "Shoyo, are you with me?" "Wah. You almost drowned, dumbass. I thought I told you to stay by the bay, Hinata-kun." Hinata's face fumed in embarrassment. He got up so quickly, he felt dizzy. Sorry. Hinata ran off, wobbly on his feet, and everyone was left in a state of shock. Kei was the only one who was quick to react and went after him. "Shoyo, where did you run off to?" Kei paused when he noticed Shoyo crouched on a secluded part of the island, hugging his knees. "I'm really sorry. It's fine. Now, leave me alone." Kei did the exact opposite. He approached Shoyo with caution. "It's just that. I thought you looked alone, and since everyone was doing it, I acted out without thinking. Did you also think it was fun when my lungs got filled with water? Just go already." Kei breathed out a sigh and sat a few feet from Shoyo to maintain distance. Kei didn't want to startle him anymore. That was a dick move, I know. And apologizing may not do anything to ease your anxiousness, but I'm sorry. Waves crashing against the rocky side of the shore was the only thing to be heard. "I don't wanna go back. I humiliated myself in front of the team." "That's not true. In fact, they were worried about you. Besides, they just happened to learn how to swim earlier. If they're gonna make fun of you, I'll tell them myself, how amazing you are." Shoyo stifled a sob, but Kei was slowly starting to convince him. "I can teach you how to swim, if you want." Hinata swiftly turned his head to face Kei, who was giving him an apologetic smile and assured look. The thought piqued his interest. Kei suppressed a chuckle. He didn't want his boyfriend to get the wrong idea. Hinata's face was tear-stained and some snot was smeared on his cheek, which Kei found gross but cute at the same time. Is it alright to think you're interested? Hinata shot up, which took Kei by surprise. He sprinted towards the blonde and landed a hard punch on his left arm. Ow. Kei clutched on the part where he got hit, and lightly rubs the area. Oh okay, that's fair. So. Tsukishima Kei yanked the towel slung around his neck and gently wiped Hinata's face. Would you like to take up on that offer? Shoyo was still doubtful, but he wants to try. Okay. Hinata stood frozen in the sand right before waves touched his feet. It's alright, nobody's watching. We're the only ones out here, Kei said, swimming around a deep area with no problem. I'll drown. Hinata made no effort to move. Kei sighed at Shoyo's stubbornness, then swam his way towards Hinata. Come on, it's almost night time. It'll be hard to see once it gets dark. Kei wrapped his hands around Shoyo's wrists and pulled him further into the sea. Shoyo thought it's best to root his feet on the ground while he can still reach it, which stopped Kei from going farther. Can I use floaters? Fine. Shoyo let himself be carried away offshore. After a minute, Kei dropped his hold. Shoyo immediately went underwater. He moved his feet searching for the seabed, but he couldn't reach it. Kei pulled him back up and made him hold on his shoulder. Let go. What? No way. I can't. Trust me on the... Kei gave Shoyo a reassuring smile, but Shoyo didn't feel the least bit assured. He was still afraid and he can't seem to make himself believe he won't drown. But Kei being there with him was enough to make him feel safe. Slowly, Shoyo let go of his grip and his entire body was swallowed by water. He was sinking just like he did earlier and it made him feel uneasy. But as he opened his eyes, he found Kei smiling at him. He held a different charm, wearing blue goggles which probably looked green in Kei's eyes. Kei pulled Shoyo back up a moment after. Don't move so much, silly. Are you telling me to drown? I'm gonna let go. No, you can't. His words faltered, as Kei let go. A worried look spread across his face and struggled to keep himself afloat. His face was submerged halfway and he was hard of seeing. He couldn't tell where Kei was and panicked. He felt a pair of hands rest about his waist, which helped him keep his balance. I'm here. Kei readjusted his grip to assist him better. Use small leg and hand movements to keep yourself from sinking. Hinata did as told. His legs would occasionally brush up against Kei. The subtle touches stirred Kei's mind awake. Heat slowly rose to his cheeks, but he decided to brush it off. Now, add leg kicks to push yourself up and forward. It was easier said than done. Kei supported Shoyo's hands and would sometimes push him upwards when he starts sinking. It took Shoyo a few tries, but eventually, he got the hang of it and Kei loosened his grip. The sky casted a shadow above them as nightfall came, which made it harder to see. A wave unexpectedly pushed Hinata back and lost control, dunking himself underwater. Kei vigilantly dived down deep, the lack of light working against him. While trying to pinpoint his lover's exact location, Shoyo's leg lightly grazed against Ker's inner thigh before Kei scooped him out of the waves. Shoyo desperately clung onto Kei's shoulders as he heaved. You're so close to perfecting it. Haha. Shoyo breathed steadily while he purposely looked away. Shoyo. Kei tucked the ginger strands of hair, hindering Shoyo's line of sight. Behind it, with a sliver of light left from the sky, Shoyo's slightly plump cheeks glistened red. Kei's eyes widened as he reveled upon the person in front of his eyes. Shoyo's cunning behavior brought warm glow on Kei's ivory tone. At such proximity, their faces are close enough to feel each other's breathing. Shoyo lifted his face to lock gazes with Kei and batted his lashes lazily. Kei gritted his teeth and tried to focus and think of something else, but Shoyo's bare flesh is way too distracting. The slender gap in between his clavicles is causing Kei's sexual pheromones to spike. For the first time, their eyes met at the same level. Yes, Shoyo, I think we should. Luckily for Kei, Shoyo took advantage of the situation and struggled to pull himself closer, catching Kei by surprise as he landed a kiss on top of his lover's lips. The heat of desire rushed into Kei's face as he fully entertained the hunger. The lingering taste of seawater excited them. The contrast of the cold water and the heat of their kisses made them feel weird all over. Making out in the middle of the ocean is borderline adventurous. A tingle swept up the back of Shoyo's neck and across the face. Kei brought their bodies together, then Shoyo propelled his legs up around Kei's waist. Kei became way too immersed in the moment. He didn't realize he had to hold the both of them afloat, not minding at all. Shoyo's ears became impossibly hot as Kei traced a finger around his lobe, his other hand grabbing Shoyo's bottom. Shoyo kissed him aggressively. He felt lightheaded. His heart raced as much as his breathing. With their chests pressed together, Shoyo felt Kei's rapid heartbeat. Their tongues danced like the waves crashing against the sand and retreating. Drool trickled down the side of their mouths. Kei's lips found their way towards Shoyo's neck. His front teeth grazed the skin, earning Shoyo's throaty groan. Shoyo's ragged breathing were music to Kei's ears. He urged himself to stop right when felt blood rushing somewhere other than his head. Kei. Does this mean you accept my apology? Shut up. Kei smiled softly at Shoyo, who was still pinkened from their actions. Shoyu, Tsuki, are you there? It's time for dinner. I wonder what's taking him so long. Kageyama muttered while munching on a banana, making Sugawara laugh. You're so clueless, Tobio-kun.